ಲಾ ಎಕ್ಸಲೆನ್ಸ್ IAS Academy ಭರವಸೆಯ ಬೆಳಕು.
Siddharth sir, welcome to La Excellence IAS interview program, and congratulations for securing 230 rank in UPSC 2022. Before getting into the discussion of various questions, I would like to know your journey from your school days to till now, how it was, and what was the major motivation factor which meant you or made you to aspire for this service.
Sir, I'm originally my family hails from the state of MP, Gwalior, but my father mostly has been posted in Chhattisgarh.
Okay.
And where I did my schooling, first in DPS Korba and then St. Xavier's. Then I went to IIT Kanpur and did my BTech in electrical engineering. It was during my college days when I used to participate to some extent in the college management, and I used to do a lot of reading of these current affairs and the general affairs going on in the country. And I felt like though academically I have been strong in engineering areas, but my general inclination for a job is more towards an administrative job.
Okay.
So this was the reason why I came towards civil services. Then I appeared for the civil service examination, couldn't clear in the starting attempt. So I also appeared for Indian Engineering Services, which I cleared. And presently I am posted as Assistant Director in Ministry of Power.
Okay.
And in the future I'm expecting to join Indian Police Service.
Okay, nice sir. So hopefully this year you are expecting an IPS service.
Yes, sir.
So your first priority was IPS, right?
First priority was IAS,
Okay.
second was IPS.
Okay. So you will be taking up again?
No. I'm satisfied now.
Great, sir. And coming to the service, sir, as you said, you graduated from IIT Kanpur, sorry sir. So IIT Kanpur. So there will be your friends who are in much luxurious
Yes.
or much better paying job and all. So what made you to turn towards this one, sir? Though administration was one of the major
To
factors.
some extent I've had experience in corporate sector also. But what I realized doing job there is that the amount of job satisfaction personally for me was less. So there was one angle of money, definitely that was there. But if we look at job satisfaction, which is a very big part of your day, like 9 to 10 hours you are working every day, and if you don't enjoy that process, then I think the level of satisfaction in life is less. So this was a very big reason that despite getting a corporate job, I kept pushing for civil services, because this was one area which I actually enjoyed.
Okay, sir.
And even if we see financially, the government salaries after the 7th pay commission, now they are sufficient that you can live a good enough life. So I think if we look at both the angles, civil service is a very good avenue for anyone who opts for this.
Yes, sir. But still, sir, I mean, you are into again Indian engineering service, because many a times life of an aspirant is like, bhai kuch bhi mil jaye, let me get something in my life so that शादी कर लो, बच्चे ये वो. But what was your driving factor, sir? Because when it started that you should get into civil services, and in between you got engineering service, but still you did not stop. You again pushed hard. So what was this journey?
Okay, so for engineering service, I think the factor that further pushed me was towards civil services was that the general administration part of civil services. For example, for me, my goal was very specific, that I have to take up a service in which the amount of field work is higher. For example, IAS, IPS, to some extent forest service also. So in these services, the amount of interaction that you have with common people, the amount of direct decisions that you can take on the ground level are comparatively more compared to an Indian engineering services, where the domain of work is very large, but your interaction is more with corporates. It's more a kind of technical kind of job. So this, because I feel when you get a chance to talk with people, given we are all from middle class, we have some experience of these talking with the common people, yet we do not completely have an idea of what the ground root level Indian feels.
Yes.
So civil services, the amount of diversity is very high. Like for example, in police service, you could be in general administration, you could be in CBI. All these fields they have very wide field, and they have a direct relation with the people. And I think that this aspect of general administration is what kept me pushing despite getting into Indian engineering service.
Okay. Though this is one of the UPSC interview which you are doing, and I'm happy to know that you are in Indian engineering service. So many of the engineering graduates across the country have lot of confusions. This is one of the toughest exam, Indian engineering service. There are more technical aspects which are involved. So Can any normal engineering graduate can take, or is it like that very good academic background people can only do it?
Sir, I'll be very honest with this thing. Many people from my college, they came for IES and civil services also with the preconception that since we are from a good college, we'll definitely clear.
Clear it.
Many of them did not clear,
Uh-huh.
and many from not so strong background clear it every year. Because I think at any point of life, if you are determined, you can always start from ground zero. And in any exam, okay, someone from a good college, he might have had some little more guidance, but in the age of internet, you can always cover that,
Yes.
even with the help of internet, right? And if you are more determined than the person who feels little bit privileged due to a good academic background and is not putting the same amount of effort, the person from a normal college will definitely cross the one with a more privileged background.
True, 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 sir. So, what was your, because your journey of 6 years into UPSC, and it's almost a long time where you have spent. So, what was your motivation factor, sir, to keep you pushing every time? What was that, sir?
I think one factor was also that I was getting close every year. Even in the first attempt, I have cleared prelims every time. And to the interview also, this was the third time I went to the interview. And every time, even when I was missing the mains cutoff, I was very, very close to the exam. And when you are part of the exam, you realize that once you have completed the syllabus and you have done your part of the work, uh, since there are 7 papers,
Yes, sir.
the result is sometimes more of waiting for all the 7 papers to fall into alignment. For example, in my second attempt, when my GS score was high, I fell short in optional bit. In fourth attempt, when I did well in optional, so it was like one of the attempts. If you keep trying,
Yes,
and
sir.
persistence is very important, then there an attempt will come, and luckily for me it came in the, at least it came in the last attempt also, attempt, that when things will fall and the papers will align in a such a manner that you'll get into the final list.
Yes, sir.
So
Yes,
there
sir.
is indeed uncertainty in the exam, but if you do the basic amount of hard work and if you keep with the persistence, you do get through.
Great, great, great. So, what was your optional and what was your strategy for that?
So my option was electrical engineering,
Okay.
because of the academic background, my college graduation, and because of the Indian Engineering Service also.
Great.
With why I took electrical engineering was because I feel that there is some element of uncertainty when it comes to art papers.
Yes.
You can write the answer, but there are no correct answers to any question, and depends upon the evaluator also.
True.
This is not the case with technical options. If there is a question, there is a certain answer to it. So this is the benefit, this amount of certainty. At the same time, the issue is the syllabus is much larger. So my goal was that I have to complete the syllabus, and the exam requires that you have to be accurate, but while maintaining the pace in the exam. So you complete the paper, but do it in an accurate manner. So this was the practice of question was what I focused a lot on, and I feel electrical is what has helped me get this rank, because my score in electrical was quite good.
Quite good. Okay. What do you think, sir, are the parameters an aspirant should keep in his mind while taking up any optional?
Optional, I think there are 4 or 5 factors, and you have to weigh them all. First of all, is general sense of interest is important.
Yes, sir.
But interest cannot be the sole driving factor, because we are not
Here to just read.
read. We have to clear the exam, and clearing the exam is the most important. Scoring in the past few years, you have to see if the optional has been doing well. Next is the amount of resources and guidance that you have.
Yes,
And a very important factor is that you actually go through the previous year questions and see if you get the feel of the optional.
Okay.
And syllabus also, if the syllabus is very huge, then you need some advantage, like I told you about electrical engineering. It should not be that the syllabus is also huge, but the scoring has been low. So you weigh in all these factors, and then you decide which optional you want to take.
Okay, because that confusion lies with all new aspirants.
Yes.
They end up taking one optional, then again they change over to it. That is where the suggestion will be.
I agree, because if you take an optional and then later change it, then you are actually taking a year or two of your hard work and completely throwing it away. So this, I think, decision is very important one, and people need to think a lot before taking one of the options.
And with the uncertainty growing in the prelims, what we see in this year, sir, there are many X questions running in the aspirant's mind because many seniors could not get in due to CSAT paper, and the way up UPSC is evolving is creating lot of ifs and buts. So there are aspirants who are thinking, or they are getting a second thought: should we really take it as a real option or only option which I should work upon, or there should be a plan B? What is your opinion, sir, about
So,
plan B?
in my opinion, there should definitely be a plan B because, yes, like you said, this year the prelims paper has been very, very unpredictable. And even the CSAT part, they have made it very difficult. And we don't know which side UPSC will go in the future. So,
Yes.
if you have a good plan B, you should always have, because these are some of the most productive years also. If you completely rely on the exam and if you do not make it, then it becomes as a very big setback to your life. And we can, I feel, given the UPSC cycle, you can always manage one more exam with it. So having a plan B is always a good idea. And further, with respect to, I think, CSAT and prelims, CSAT now needs dedicated preparation even for engineers.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So though if UPSC was to take my advice, I would say that you just go back to the old, because this is not a fair system. But still, given the new system, I think, yeah, CSAT needs dedicated preparation. And with respect to the GS part, I think syllabus coverage is very important. The more you read, the higher the number of chances that you hit the questions. Next is option management has become even more important. Like, people are saying that elimination as a technique does not exist now. I do not completely agree with the idea, because even in that 2 or 3 pair question, suppose there are 4 options,
Yes.
and you have eliminated 2 options. You know either they are correct or they are wrong.
Wrong.
With the next 2 options, you come down to a 50-50% probability. And if you attempt a large number of questions, the law of large number tells you that you'll fall nearby 50%
50%.
probability, and a person who has no idea will fall around
more.
33% or 25% probability.
True, true, true.
So yes, the exam is getting more difficult, and the chance elimination is becoming more luck based. But at the same time, if you put in the hard work and you're good at option management, you can give yourself little bit edge.
It's, okay, okay. So what do you think, sir, with the evolving pattern of UPSC, have we somewhere struck with the traditional method of preparation, where, okay, you follow NCERTs, you follow monthly current affairs magazines, you follow X number of standard reference books. So do you think the same methodology is sufficient enough for the aspirants?
So not sufficient, but I think it's important. Why I'll say it's important is because if you still look at the paper, of the 100 questions, around 20 to 24 questions are there which are directly picked, and they are easy questions even in this paper.
Yes, sir.
If you have to be in the race, you have to make sure that you get all those 20 to 24 correct, because rest of the candidates, they are.
Yes.
With the rest of the 75 questions, there may be uncertainty, but the uncertainty is not there.
Yes.
So if you are losing any question in this part, you are actually setting yourself back, and you have to work a lot much harder to actually make up with the normal candidate. So first of all, everyone should do the standard books. That is the one thing in your hand.
Yes.
But other than that, yes, option management, solving a large number of tests, and I think some practices, for example, you can always look for more and more things on maps. You can always learn the name of more number of national parks. There are certain things which almost always come in the paper. So the more you try to prepare in this form, other than the standard books, the higher the chances. It's always a game of chance, but you are increasing your chances
Chance by looking into those small areas
Exactly.
together, sir. So, what was your approach for current affairs, sir, with respect to this examination, in particular to prelims and mains?
Okay, sir. I didn't make notes for prelims. The reason being, because prelims, if we start making notes on daily basis, the notes become so bulky that by the end of the time we don't revise them, and that is wasted effort.
Yes.
So what I used to do was read newspaper, and at the end you do monthly booklets, and just before the prelims you can pick any of the
current affairs summary which is available,
and prepare for them. This was my technique for current affairs. Mains, it was different. Mains, you have certain number of topics which you identify as important, and those you notes you have to continuously update with respect to your knowledge, because any holistic mains answer requires some background of the topic and what the present situation of the topic is also. So, and I think for mains, notes making with the help of newspaper is very important, especially of those months. As you get closer to the mains, the value of those notes become more and more important. But with respect to prelims, I used to rely on mostly on the magazines.
Okay, sir. And coming to the, because again, prelims results are out and many aspirants are writing mains, and we know that essay and ethics are important part of this examination. What was your approach with respect to ethics, sir, especially because there are many, there are no any formal sources which we can prefer. So what was your approach, sir?
I think with respect to ethics is, first you should have a consolidation of all the basic words, probability, integrity, and you should have a very good understanding. Next, as you solve more number of questions and you do more and more reading, you'll come across ethics word and keep adding to your notes those words. And a very important part of ethics preparation is you need examples. You need current examples, and those current examples have to be well known. You cannot give very specific examples which the examiner is not aware of.
Yes, sir.
And these examples you have to give in almost every point, because others are doing it, and now since the level of competition is very high, you have to do it too. Also, given this last year's ethics paper, I think time management is becoming even more important, because the last year the ethics paper was very long. And further, I feel, again, having a very good understanding of the definition of all the words, so even if they are asked in some different context, you are able to apply them, is I think the basis of ethics preparation. With respect to essay, I think essay is all about practice. You practice, and then you refer it to your friends and everyone, and you see what are the changes you can make. And I think with respect to essay, there are two parts of writing an essay: making the structure and actually writing the essay.
Okay.
The first part is very important. If you are able to make a very good structure in the starting 15 to 20 minutes, writing the essay becomes much more easier. So both the things have to be worked on. So once you have practiced an essay, look at how well you made a structure and compare it with someone else's. For example, if someone is able to break it up into 9 parts and you are only able to break it up into 6 parts.
Okay.
Just imagine why they are able to do it. Next is, how do you execute it? I can break it into 9 parts, but if I am writing every part very long and not in a precise manner, I'll not be able to complete my essay.
Yes.
So both the parts are important, but with respect to essays, I think it's less about reading and studying, and it's more about writing.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So practice is the most important part with respect to essay, and ethics requires reading more.
And as you said, sir, time management is getting more difficult with respect to mains papers, especially. So, what was your approach, sir, in order to improvise your answer writing? Should an aspirant start at the start of his journey, or should he wait after prelims? Because many people do that. कि भाई मैं पहले prelims कर लूँगा, then I'll think of writing mains. And
no, prelims. I do not completely agree with the idea that on the day when you should start writing, you should have some basic content, because if you're writing without basic content, you're just giving a very generalist answer. So you need some basic content, but that basic content should have been developed 2 to 3 months into your preparation.
Yes.
And I feel before prelims also, like last 2 months before the prelims is dedicated prelims preparation. But before that, for 2 to 3 months, you should have done some answer writing, good answer writing, because I think in any preparation phase, there are 2 parts. One is when you are evolving, and one when you are doing firefighting. Evolving is when you have a lot of time and you can work on every specific part and you can give a lot of time. That is the period before the prelims preparation.
Yes.
After prelims, there's a set time of 3 months. You have to complete your optional, you have to complete your mains, you have to do answer. That is the firefighting phase. In firefighting, you can improve somewhat, but you cannot completely improve. That improvement has to come in the earlier phase. So answer writing has to be done in both the phases. It cannot be completely left to post-prelims
kind of thing. With respect to GS1, GS2, GS3, sir, what were your strategies, sir? Were there, any set of only this much is enough, something kind of?
For prelims or mains?
Mains, sir.
Mains, I think GS1 requires reading, because it's a very knowledge-oriented paper. So yes, I used to. मतलब my idea was कि I have a set of books. For example, mains के लिए old NCERTs I read, the three.
Okay, okay.
Medieval you don't need. So the ancient one
and
for art and the modern
modern.
one. And similarly with respect to geography, I do read the NCERTs.
Okay.
So yes, there is a set amount of books for the GS1. Social or society wala part, I made notes with the help of the society NCERT, with the help of the current affairs, and in general, you know that there are some topics, for example, women empowerment, gender empowerment, etc., that you have to prepare notes. So for all these topics, I made specific notes.
Okay.
Paper 2 is a lot about making notes, again, because unlike prelims, Lakshmikant is not enough. Lakshmikant will help you form the basis, like you know all the articles, you know the constitutionality of all the topics. But further for governance, for topics like SHGs, public administration, you need to make notes. That is why I feel in prelims I don't emphasize on notes making, but mains is all about notes making. If you have good notes, then you are able to revise them well, and you are able to write a basic framework for every answer. Coming to paper 3 is the most diverse one. It has topics from all the areas, whether it be disaster management, science and technology. So here I deal with the topics differently. For example, economics, economy, if you see, it's a lot current affairs oriented. So if you have a basic idea of the economic various concepts, then you can cover it with current affairs. Disaster management, I think it is almost completely static, because the number of major disasters, they are set. One or two disaster will come and it will not change the entire framework of the idea. So for disaster management, I have very concrete notes where you know the causes for the disaster, what are the various recommendations, what are the various steps which have been taken. Disaster management is all about notes, and it's a very static topic.
Yes.
Next is science and technology. I did not do much about science and technology because I'm from a science and technology background, and further the questions are about current affairs. For example, this time it was about James Webb Telescope, I think, versus Hubble telescope. So for that also current affairs, and what I think one
environment
more, environment is completely current affairs oriented, and both for prelims and mains.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So I think this here you have to have a topic based approach.
Okay. And with respect to this prelims examination, sir, because there are any senior aspirant also writing prelims will always have that fear of what is next, because mains is something which is more confident based, predictable.
Yeah.
But prelims, how to overcome or how to reduce that unpredictability or improve the confidence of aspirants for that matter, sir?
I think coverage of the standard books is the best way. Like I told you, if you look at even the very absurd questions, if you have read the standard books, there is a chance that you will be able to pick up the answer. I remember in the 22 attempt, there was one question, which of the following texts are related to Jainism? Something related to this. And there were 4 options, and those 4 options had very difficult names. But one of those options had some part and then Avdana.
Okay.
That Avdana part, if you see, it's there in the 11th
NCERT.
art NCERT. So you know it's a part of Buddhism. So if you know that well, you can eliminate this option, and this way you could solve the questions. So I think you should have a set list of standard books which you have to completely read cover to cover. What I think what has worked for me in prelims every 6 time that I have cleared is that I do not discriminate. I do not try to predict the trend that UPSC is going towards. For the standard books, I always cover them from cover to cover. And apart from that, like I told you, you have to identify some option elimination. For example, in science and technology, what I have felt is if you go very specific into the knowledge, like we have science and technology information. Knowledge, and if I try to apply it in a very specific manner, like an engineer or scientist would, your answers go wrong. And if you think about the question in a generalist manner, you do the answer right. So this kind of techniques, some techniques you have to further develop, but the most important part is the standard books, which you have a list. You always complete them cover to cover, and that is the part where you can reduce the unpredictability.
And this 6 years of journey which you have gone through, sir, might or any aspirant will be going through many uh, financial, physical, emotional traumas. I mean, in this 6 years, didn't you ever feel कि भाई ठीक है, I'm done here? Or how did you overcome any of those moments which you had
So I
come
think the
across?
biggest aspect was the emotional trauma.
Mhm.
Because I did not expect to give so many attempts. I
Mhm.
was hoping that I'd clear in a, like I told you, people from good academic backgrounds take the exam for granted to some extent.
Uh-huh.
The mistake which I also did.
Uh-huh.
So, but when I was not able to, it comes as a very big blow, not only to your ego, but also to your self respect. The only way is to, you should always have a close group of friends,
Mhm.
not only who are related to the exam, but outside the exam also, who are in industry, who are working in other areas.
Mhm.
Because first of all, then you have a very good ideas of the things going outside the exam cycle. You can always talk about them and relax your mind to some extent. Also, you have some friends who are not part of the cycle,
Cycle.
so you know that whatever you will talk with them will be very genuine talks.
Yes.
So I think having this small circle is very important for handling that emotional trauma part. Financial part, I think I was secure because I've worked
Right.
some to some extent in the private sector,
Right.
and my family is also well to do. Emotional part is the most difficult part that you have to deal with, because if you're not correct emotionally, then the ability to apply effort
Effort.
in this exam greatly reduces. So for this, I think support base is very important.
But we see many aspirants coming to preparation. They always come with a mindset ki when I start preparing, I should leave everything, social media, friends, family. I should sit in a library, do things. So was your life also was more isolated, or what was your schedule of?
To some extent, yes, I isolated myself. But for example, social media I did not completely cut off.
Mhm.
I did not use these Facebook and Instagram that much, but I use Twitter a lot because I'm a big sports follower and I like to tweet my opinion about sports.
Sports.
But I kept it limited to sports and I did not get involved in debates, etc., which go on Twitter.
Yes.
This way, you can reduce the amount of
Amount.
wastage also and still pursue your hobby. And further, with respect to friends, yes, you have to be selective. You cannot go to parties, etc., because then you will waste time. But do not completely cut yourself off, because when you cut yourself off, you not only remove that support base I talked about, you also stop your personal growth. You are now stuck in a small den where your thoughts are your only friends.
Friends.
But you constantly need to talk with other people also for personal growth part also. So these things have to be balanced. You need friends, but in a limited manner. You need social media, but in a limited manner.
And sir, coming to the working part, because you have continued your preparation after getting into engineering service. So many aspirants or many people who are into different sector ask that question. Do you think working parallelly, I can manage the preparation part also? If yes, then how did you manage it? If no, should they leave the job and come to preparation?
I think if someone is forced by financial factors to work, I think you have to take a middle path to this. 2 months before the prelims, or the period between prelims to mains, the 2 months before the mains. I think these periods you have to somehow find a way to escape your job.
Yes, sir.
There could be many ways. There are some companies where project based work is allocated. For
Yes.
example, they won't work around the year. When the project is due, they work a lot in short stints, and then there are some periods where you can relax and you can prepare. So if you are in a job where there is continuous work profile, you should try moving to such a job. Next is, if you should always try to find a boss again who is helpful.
To pursue your
Yeah, many
dreams.
people, many of my friends who have done these exams while pursuing the job, they had a very supportive boss over them who could help them with this. Because before the exams, you need these breaks.
Yes, sir.
You can prepare with jobs also, but 2 months before the exam, these period are needed for a dedicated preparation. So again, here you need a middle path and a lot of support from the company you are working in. So if you plan to pursue it in a manner that it is possible, and by selecting the right company and the right team you're part of.
Because that is what, sir, many working professionals have that question, because they are in the start of the journey. So they come out after 3 years, as you said, it is not much passionate. That is where they want to come out. So probably that understanding of various parameters will help them to take a better decision. So what will be your word of advice to the new aspirants, sir? There are many aspirants coming out of the college come out with a dream of becoming civil servant. So what will be your one key word of advice for those aspirants?
I have one phrase which I have realized through my cycle. This entire exam has various areas which you have to tackle. Different papers, different styles of writing. Every person has certain strengths and certain weaknesses.
Yes.
This exam is that where you have to manage your weakness in a manner that they harm you in the least manner possible. And your strengths you have to optimize them in a manner that you derive a lot of marks from them. For example, for me, optional was the area which was area of strength. I got 304, and in GS answer writing I was facing some issue. Talk to your friends, talk to your mentors, but somehow even if you're not able to get very good marks, no one can completely master every area. Manage those weaknesses in a manner that they don't pull you down, and then completely master your strengths, because there are 7 papers. You have to get good or average marks in most of the paper, and in 1 or 2 areas also, if you get very good marks, you are in the list.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
So do not try to completely tackle all the areas, because if you are going for that, maybe you are losing out on your strengths also. So this exam is completely about managing your weakness and utilizing your strengths.
Great, great. So out of the previous 5 attempts, sir, what worked for you or what was different in the 6th attempt?
Sir, this time optional and interview helped me a lot. A very big reason for optional was, though I had been completing the syllabus earlier also, since I appeared for Indian Engineering Services, I also solved questions for Indian Engineering Services also, which greatly increased the ambit of questions which I had practiced. So my optional score increased to 304 this time. And with respect to interview, I had past experience. My younger brother also was preparing for the interview this time.
Okay.
And we both completely continuously gave each other feedback. And that helped me increase my interview marks from 160 to 198.
Okay.
So
How about your brother, sir?
he was already in service. In 2000, this year also he has got selected 407 rank, but his service is not improving. So he'll continue in railway services.
Oh, great. And many aspirants are getting after into this field. There are few who does not clear 1 or 2 attempts continuously writing prelims. There are few who could not get into the final list. That is after their attempts might be getting over, or age criteria is getting over. So that fear factor is something which is developing among the aspirants, that frustration, depression. So how do you think a student should, or an aspirant should, develop his thought process when tackling this exam? Should he entirely depend on this, or what should be his thought process, sir?
So I think in this case, the thought process should be, in the starting 1 or 2 attempts, you completely give your 100% to the exam. But after 2 or 3 attempts, you should definitely go for a plan B. Once you have a plan B, we often think that, okay, this is the only exam I want to clear, other exams don't matter. But once you clear those other exams, you realize that the safety blanket that those exams provide gives you a huge amount of comfort, which can help you in this exam's preparation also. So if you're not able to clear in 1 or 2 attempts or 3 attempts, go for a plan B. So that plan B will provide you the comfort and cushion that can help you tackle these negative minor thoughts in your mind.
So you are expecting which service, sir?
IPS, Indian Police.
Yes, sir. So home cadre is something.
No, home cadre is difficult because I'm completely unreserved category. But let's see. I'm hoping I get a cadre which I like.
Yeah, hopefully you will get your cadre or people whom you can serve. I mean, again, India is
one. So wherever I get to serve, it's a privilege.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But given the choice, you always want your choice to be fulfilled.
Great, sir. So at last, sir, how do you describe your journey till now? If it is 1-2 lines, if you have to say.
Sir, I feel my life before my civil services preparation, like I said, had been a privileged one, where I had got success. But for the first time, the process taught me how to handle failures and made me a much stronger person, both emotionally and in terms of grit and determination. So this process has been a teacher and in the end it also came as a very good gift in the form of the service which I liked.
That's what your commitment and dedication of 6 years is what is blooming today for that matter. And on behalf of La Excellence family, I congratulate you, sir.
Thank you very
And
much, sir.
for your further service and career as civil servant, we wish you to see in greater strides, making better place for all of us and a society to live.
Thank
And
you very much,
hopefully we'll meet again. And thank you for accepting this invitation.